Greetings, everyone, and welcome to part 13, Lucky 13, of the Doctor Who DVD Disambiguation. This time around, we'll be covering the 1975 to 1976 season, featuring the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, in his sophomore season. Yeah, some pretty good stuff this season. Some of my all-time favorite stories growing up. Let's get right to it, today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Alrighty, now I should mention there is one story left to be released from this season. Yes, it is coming out later this year, and it's actually notable in that A, it's one of the all-time fan favorite stories of all time. It's personally significant to me because it was one of the first stories I ever saw, so it's, significant in my personal Doctor Who history. And it's also the final Tom Baker story to be released on DVD, so at long last, the Fourth Doctor library will be complete. Of course, in the interest of keeping these disambiguations moving along, I've decided not to wait, because this particular release is not coming out here until October. Yeah. Oh well. So it's either put off the disambiguations until October, or keep things moving along and we'll just take note of it when we get to it. So it just so happens that the story in question is the season premiere story. Yeah, what can I tell you? So here it is. Great, huh? Alright. Here's a look at the cover. It is a story entitled Terror of the Zygons. Now this is notable for a couple of reasons. First off, it's just a great story. It has some great effects and some not so great effects in terms of the special effects. It features the final appearance of the Brigadier for a very, very long time. It's notable to me personally in that it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I thought it was just things are falling over. Really great, scary story. The lead villains in it are really effective aliens and very organic and just really cool design. But it's also notable in that the Zygons only ever appeared in this one story. They've been fan favorite characters for a very long time just because this is such a great story. And they're actually coming back for the 50th anniversary special this year. How cool is that? Here's a look at the updated Zygons. Yeah, that's what they're going to look like in the new special, which is I think it's a great update to the design. I mean, it still maintains that classic look, but just tweaked a little bit, just enough to give it a bit of a modern flavor to it. So great stuff. It's one of those cases of a great classic monster design where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just like how the Ice Warriors, when the Ice Warriors came back in the recent season, they looked very much the same as they did back in the 60s and 70s. Just great stuff. So I should mention also as a side note, Terror of the Zygons was just recently released in a bare bones edition, Region 2 only sadly, but in this box set. This is the Fourth Doctor Time Capsule. Pretty cool set, full of some awesome goodies. You got a Fourth Doctor action figure in there, which is exclusive to the set. You've got his sonic screwdriver. You got a bunch of art cards and stuff. You got exclusive documentaries, interviews with Tom Baker about his time as the Fourth Doctor, and you have the premiere release of Terror of the Zygons as a complete story in the set. So pretty cool. This is a limited edition. I think it's limited to 5,000. Retails for about £55, although you can find it on eBay for about $200. Enjoy. Needless to say, I would love to have this set just because it's gorgeous. I don't even care that it's Region 2. I can play Region 2 stuff on my computer. That's not a problem. But just as a beautiful collector's piece, I mean, this is really a gorgeous set. It not even because it has Terror of the Zygons in it. That's not even a particular selling point to me. It's just the fact that it's such a gorgeous retrospective set of the Fourth Doctor. I would love to have that set, but it's just so far out of my means right now that it's likely not going to happen. Plus, being a limited edition and being the 50th anniversary year and being the most popular Doctor out of all of them, well, for the classic series anyway, I expect this set is going to sell out really fast. So, I don't know. Maybe someday. Anyway, carrying on with the stuff that is available now, we have story number 81. Here we are. Planet of Evil, which is another one of my all-time favorite stories. If you've seen Forbidden Planet, this is kind of like Doctor Who meets Forbidden Planet. It's very Forbidden Planet. It's great stuff. Features an antimatter creature, which is very reminiscent of the id creature from Forbidden Planet and stuff like that. And it's just another, following up from Terror of the Zygons, this is another really scary story that scared the crap out of me as a kid. It's got some really moody, atmospheric moments. It's just great, great stuff. And my alarm clock is going off. Apparently it's time to wake up. I'll be right back. And I'm awake. Good morning. Yeah, so beautiful set design in this. They created this really creepy jungle, alien jungle in it, and there's some terrific performances from the guest actors in it as well. Just a really, really good story. Always really enjoyed that one a lot. And here's another long-time favorite. We have Pyramids of Mars, where the Doctor meets up with Sutekh, who may or may not be an ancient Egyptian god, or just an alien with godlike powers. Really cool stuff. You got robotic mummies, you got Egyptian lore in there, and it's just a terrific story that I've always really enjoyed. And next up, we have another one, which I actually used to have the novelization of this one many, many moons ago. We have story number 83, The Android Invasion. And this is essentially an alien creating robot duplicates of people to take over the Earth and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. And some genuinely creepy moments in that as well, where some of the Doctor's friends get turned into robot duplicates, and he has to contend with that. And just really, really good. This is almost like the gothic horror season. You can see a lot of classic horror story elements in a lot of these stories. Not the least of which being this one, The Brain of Morbius, which is kind of like Doctor Who meets Frankenstein. It's great stuff. And once again, we get some more tidbits of Time Lord lore in this, where he actually meets up with the remnants of a Time Lord who, at the time of the story, is little more than a brain in a jar. But the mad scientist that he's teamed up with is creating a new body to put the brain into. So it's very Frankenstein. And there's even an Igor character and stuff like that. But really, really fun stuff. Now, I should mention, I actually have this story on VHS tape, recorded off of PBS many years ago, specifically the Omnibus movie compilation edition, where they would basically cut out the titles in between, just have the opening and closing titles, and then the episodes would be edited together into a movie presentation. They just call it an Omnibus edition. But the interesting thing about the version I have on tape is episode 1 that was used for that particular omnibus edit was unfinished. Visually it was all finished, but the audio is nothing but the studio audio. It doesn't have any of the sound effects or music in it. It's really weird. So it's interesting to see sort of from a behind the scenes perspective, because you're seeing an early edit of the episode. And somehow that's the one that they used to put together this omnibus edition. I don't think that they have that on here. No, they don't, unfortunately. I was hoping that maybe they would have some reference to that, or I don't know. It just seems to be one of those rarities that hardly anybody knows about. So I've hung on to the tape all these years just as a strange rarity of Doctor Who history. I think that was just, it was a case of the wrong cut of the episode went out in the the PBS package or whatever. But it always struck me as strange that that somehow that slipped by. Like, did nobody notice? Did the person editing the omnibus edition not notice that, hey, there's no sound effects or music in the first episode? What gives? I don't know. It was really strange. But anyway, needless to say, the version on here is the complete finished version. And then finally, we have another. I gotta say, like, this is probably one of my all-time favorite seasons because I don't think there's a single stinker episode in the whole season. We have The Seeds of Doom. So I guess it's kind of appropriate now that I think about it. It's season 13, and they're almost all horror stories. I'm sure that must have been intentional. I mean, these are smart people making these shows. So you have The Seeds of Doom, which starts off feeling a little bit like The Thing. It takes place at an Antarctic research station where they discovered this alien pod that hatches this strange alien vegetable creature thing. And then goes back to England, where the vegetable creature takes over the mind of this guy who's got this garden and stuff, and it basically becomes this thing where the vegetables and plants are trying to take over, and the guy thinks that he's a plant. It's really weird. There's some really oddball moments in that. Not the least of which being the Doctor indiscriminately killing henchmen. There's a scene where the Doctor's running to go somewhere, bumps into a henchman, literally grabs him and snaps his neck, and then just keeps running. Like, without a second thought. He just snaps this guy's neck and just keeps going. It's just one of those oddball moments in Doctor Who history. And, and you get people being fed into this mulching machine and turned into fertilizer. It's pretty horrific stuff. I can definitely see how some of the parents groups were up in arms about some of it. But as a kid who grew up watching Hammer horror movies and stuff like that, to me it was just a delight to see that kind of stuff in Doctor Who. And it's a great story too. Like all 5 of these are great stories. Well, and 6 when you throw in Terror of the Zygons. Yeah, great season. Really great season. I don't think there's a weak story in the bunch. Just tons and tons of fun. You will have a blast with this season. It's just so much fun. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for season 13. Definitely one of the high points of the series. Just the entire history of the series. Great season. Yeah, so to sum up, you have story number 80, The Terror of the Zygons, which will be coming out on DVD over here sometime in October. And then I think it gets a release in the UK a little bit earlier. They usually get their releases about a month or two before we do here. Then we got story 81, Planet of Evil. Story 82, Pyramids of Mars. Story 83, The Android Invasion. Story 84, The Brain of Morbius. And finally, story 85, The Seeds of Doom. Not to be confused with The Seeds of Death, which was a second Doctor story. Seeds of Death was an Ice Warrior story. Seeds of Doom is a malevolent alien vegetable creature story. There you go. Alrighty, that is it for season 13, and that is it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.